Hello, this is Leon Finney. I'm back on another perspective. And again, today we're dealing with veterans and the men and women who have served our country well and now are returning home. And some have been here for a while. And they're still finding themselves in difficult situations with, again, no homes and no jobs. But anyway, we've got our first caller on the line. Tommy, are you there?
Well, Dr. Finney, I call to say happy Thanksgiving to you, and more importantly, that thank you for what you brought to the table thus far. But Dr. Finney, in reality, let's just take a serious look at this. Say, if you're a person, and with all due respect, the veterans deserve the highest honor. If there's any person that's walking around who should have their heads up and know that they will be taken care of, it's a person who goes off and has the horrific memories and experiences of war. And so if you have a country that won't even respect these people, what do you think we got coming? I mean, Dr. Finney, this stuff here has got so crazy and so ridiculous that I just don't understand why morally minded, civic minded, whatever you believe your higher power to be, why we can't simply come together and go and ask some individuals what in HELL is going on. Bless you, Dr. Finney, and God bless America and the veterans.
Yeah, Tommy, don't hang up. Let's kind of push this back and forth, because I think that this really is a very, very important issue. You've got men and women that have given of their lives, and yet they're coming home. And just recently, we now have a Veterans Center, RTW, which means that this is a Veterans Center that has been opened up at 5536 South King Drive. And their mission is to provide support for our jobs. And here's a handout. Give a kind word and a smile to everybody and treat everyone with respect. Provide housing assistance, clothing, free hot meals 7 days a week for the homeless veterans and those in need. Help veterans and their families get their benefits from the Veterans Administration. Help provide jobs for the unemployed and help those seeking to open up a business. Now, this is a center that has been opened up solely to support the veterans that are returning home, and some of them are already home. And the issue that I have to deal with is, why is it in the United States of America that we allow our veterans to go wanting when they were prepared to give up their lives in support and or defense of their nation? And so, Tommy, I'm going to go back and forth with you for a minute on this. So give me your thoughts about this. What are we going to do?
Well, I'm going to tell you, Dr. Finney, remember, the bravest veteran of all was the one who took a camera into war. They brought back the horrific pictures of war, that we might not fight wars and consider thoughtfully the consequences of those who come back with the issues in which that you speak. But when you have a society that will trample you at a so-called Black Friday and then turn a blind eye to the very individual who's chained to go out and keep this country safe, I mean, you ask, what can we do? Dr. Finney, at this point, it is a moment in time for individuals to simply stand up and make a choice. Which one is it going to be? The politicians are not hurting. How can you say that there's a recession and the only people that's catching it are those who are following the rules? We have to stand up. We have to go to the Congress and the Senate, not Wall Street, not the banks, not none of the rest. I mean, you got to go there, Doc. If you don't want to start there with the people who are making the laws and put the fear of God in them, then
yeah, but Tony, Tommy, here's the problem. When you go to Congress, let me tell you one of the things that we have discovered on this program and through our research. We've discovered, according to the people who finance campaigns, guess what? Big oil contributes more to the Republican Party to see that Republicans are elected to the United States House of Congress than any other group that are Republican. They support Republicans. Now, on the other hand, let's don't let the Democrats off. Big Wall Street has bought the Democratic Party, according to some experts. Now, what does that mean when you go to Washington, D.C., and if you got the Republican Party bought and sold by big oil, and you got the Democratic Party bought and sold by the Wall Street, the banks, where does a little guy, where does the average family, and where does the average American fit in who has neither big oil money nor Wall Street money? What are they? How do they make it work?
Well, this is how we make it work, Dr. Finney. I mean, what you're describing is the absolute fault of us. We have stood back and been disengaged over these many years. Now it's at the apex. It's us or them. And seeing how it's more of us than them, then Dr. Finney, at some point you got to ask yourself a question: What is worth fighting and dying for? If the fact that the veterans who you're speaking of went out and fought that we could be free in this country and have elected officials who look out for our interests who do not do so, then I think this is the moment and the time that when they look out, Dr. Finney, you ask anybody in combat, it's one hell of a feeling when you look out and you see a bunch of individuals coming. And when they're coming, they're not sitting to come up there and play no games, Doc. They're coming up there to take care of business. And we have to take care of business. And look, if it's the Republicans, vote them out. If it's the Democrats, vote them out. If it's particular companies, find out who these corporations is. Find out what the satellite companies are. Stop spending your money with these people and stuff. Once these things start to take place and stuff, Dr. Finney, then we can have a voice. And the voice has to start with everybody who is a citizen of the United States of America, no matter what color they are. You are in the same boat. We all at some point have been dialed out.
But you see, here's the deal. The deal is that we've got two houses. One house in the United States Congress is controlled by the Republican Party. That's the House of Representatives. And then the other house is barely controlled by the Democratic Party. Meanwhile, they've got the President of the United States of America handcuffed and rendered almost unable to function and impotent because they will not agree to allow him to put forth a government that is of the people, by the people, and for the people. And my sense is, at this particular point, the people are the ones that are suffering. The people are the ones that are unemployed. The people are the ones who now don't have good health care. The people are the ones who have children that are not being fed. The people are the ones whose children are ill-educated and poorly educated. It's the people. And the question is, when does we the people, or when do we the people speak with a loud and clear voice? And I guess you're saying we got to throw the rascals out. Am I right or wrong?
You're absolutely right, but Dr. Finney, remember, it's we the people who decided to stay home at the midterm elections.
Hello.
I mean, Dr. Finney. I mean, as much as I want to complain, as much as I want to, point at this group, that group, the bottom line is that we the people must understand to exercise the greatest bat that we have, and that's that election time. And if you allow individuals to come up to the podium as these individuals did, i.e. the Green Party, i.e. the Tea Party, i.e. the Independents, and they came up there and said exactly what they were going to do, and then for the love of God, we the people who need jobs, who need resources, sit back and turn around and allow someone to tell us that it was the President of the United States who was the one who was at issue. Meanwhile, the media outlets and none of these so-called historians sit back and say, this is unprecedented. This is unprecedented that a Senate and a Congress and the media all seem to be conspiring against an individual who's supposed to be for the people.
Okay, Tommy, I got you. Listen, hang in there, Tommy. I've got another call. Don't hang up. Karen, are you there?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, hi. I was telling your screener that as far as the veterans are concerned, with them coming back, might not have a job and all.
Yes.
I said they should put a moratorium on immigration.
Okay.
I'm a nurse. I'm a registered nurse.
Okay.
And I have a full-time job, 3 days a week, 12-hour shifts, but I also work through an agency, nursing agency, on my off day. They send me all up north and different places like that. And I cannot believe how many Filipino nurses are. It's like I'm the only American. sometimes. You know, I'm on these floors. I'm like, everybody in here is from somewhere else. They're from India and all these, and the Philippines, and you get some African Nigerians every now and then. But you know, I know when these veterans come back, you have some nurses. There's some, you know, it's going to be among them, and even in construction. I'm like, where are the black men? This is just killing me. Because like I said, I go all over. And when I'm on the expressway, I went to Good Samaritan Hospital 2 days ago. I'm on the expressway, and all this construction on 88, I-88. And I'm just looking all the way down. Now, one black face. I'm right here in Homewood. On Halsted, there's a McDonald's here that's doing reconstruction, and I'm waiting in this long line, you know, in that drive-through, and these 3 men are speaking in their language. I believe, I assume that they're probably Polish or I don't know where they're from, but anyway, and I'm like, you mean to tell me no black men can do this job that they're doing? All they were doing was knocking down some, you know, that the panel in the front, and I'm like, this is sad. And
well, you know, Karen, you raise a good, interesting point, and the point is, are we at this particular point paying the price for immigration? That's a serious question. America prides itself in being a nation of immigrants. We talk about our immigration problems. We talk about since you're weak and you're homeless, you know, though homeless and jobless and you're poor at the Statue of Liberty. We talk about that because we have led ourselves to believe we are a nation of immigrants. It's part of what we think about as to how we are, as Americans, are to behave. But here's, I think, another take on this. There's a guy that wrote a book by the name of Jeffrey Sachs, S-A-C-H-S. And the book that he wrote deals with the price of civilization. And what it really says underneath it is, are we willing to pay the price these days to have a civilized society? Are we as Americans willing to pay the price for civilization, which means that we care about the weak, we care about the impoverished poor, we care about our children, we care about our old people, we care about our homeless people, we care about our jobless people, we care about the infirm. The question is America today the same America that was here in 1964 when the 1964 Civil Rights Act was adopted? Or is the America still here that was here when Franklin Delano Roosevelt was President of the United States of America, when Fair Employment Practices Commission was set up, and when Social Security and many of the social service networks were set up? Or is America rapidly becoming something else other than what it was at one point? We've been led to believe that we the people govern. But at this particular point, we the people, who are 99% of the people who work and try to make a living, are not in control of the government. Rather, 1%, the rich at this particular point, are in control of the government, and they're running the government.
My only point is, if you have qualified people here in the U.S., why are we constantly getting people from overseas to do those jobs?
I heard you, Carol. The point is this: whether or not, are we at the point, Karen, are we at the point that we have to take another look at immigration? You know, many of us fought for.
Because you can't get one job in any. I cannot go. I love Bermuda. I've been to Bermuda about 3 times now, and then I can't just go over there and say, well, I'm gonna, I'm gonna stay here and I'm gonna work. I'm gonna go work in a hospital here. It doesn't go like that. You have to go through. They're not going to put their own people out of work just because.
And my point is this, Karen. My point is this, Karen. In order to expand the economy, in order to make sure that the immigrants work and we work, then some changes have got to be made.
I know people, nurses, and I was shocked. They said they having a hard time finding a job, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Have you been up north? And it's nothing but immigrants. That's on what do you call it?
So,
workers.
yeah, the bottom line is, Karen, what you're saying is we need to examine our immigration policy.
Yeah, we do.
You follow me? That's what the bottom line is. But the other side of it is the other side.
Men are not working. That's sad.
Yeah,
and
well,
I go everywhere.
Well,
I don't see none of it.
I hear you. I hear you. And my sense is that we've got to re-examine our immigration policy and see if immigration is working for us. Someone once said the life that is unexamined is a life not worth living, which means we've got to be prepared to look at every possible sacred cow, if you will, and make sure that
see
one.
If it's still needed. If that policy,
well, you know, and I don't want to get in a fist fight with my anybody that's an immigrant. I don't certainly want to get in a fist fight with with Hispanics that. For too many years, the Hispanics and the African Americans have been able to work together in order to get decent jobs and get decent wages.
I tell you one thing, they're working. You all are sitting at home. The black men.
Yeah, well, I got you. But all I'm simply saying is there is a cost for everything, and you know, and each time we throw out these difficult issues, they're not simple to resolve. I just want to lay out the fact that we got to do something about these our veterans that are coming home and they are looking at no jobs for them when they get home. They've got a veteran center. They've got a veteran center that says our mission is to remake the world.
Yeah.
All right. And so, but anyway, Karen.
Okay, then. Well, it's nice talking.
Nice talking to you, darling.
Okay. Bye-bye.
James, are you there?
No.
James, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Okay. All right, my brother. What you got?
Look here. They talking about the illegal immigrants. They already broke the law by being here. If Americans break the law, you understand me? We go to jail. And the jobs and stuff, and they send some of them back where they come from, so they don't have no business here. Period.
Okay. All right. So James, let me get it right now, James.
And all this here, and how about feeding the homeless? They care about the homeless and all this here. If you care something about the homeless, 1,200 trees being planted by the mayor of Chicago or whoever doing it, they can take that money and help feed the homeless. We can't eat no trees.
All right. So James,
they got enough paper and stuff blowing over the city already. What they gonna do? Take it to the sawmill somewhere and blow it up and make paper and stuff?
James, you got a.
They leave it up for one thing. Negroes got all the signs and white folks got all the money. They still got us in temporary slavery. They didn't get up off of that. They using the poor. The rich get rich and the poor get poor. That's what they're doing. Idiotic psychology. That's all they're trying to use on the black person.
All right, James, you got a powerful point. Hey,
send them all back across that water to Mexico or wherever they came from. Send you back because you broke the law by coming over here.
All right.
Anyway.
All right. Okay, James.
Anyway, bye.
All right, James. I got it. All right. Let me see now. Tony, are you here?
Yeah, how you doing?
Yes, Tony.
Yeah, I mean, Tommy nailed it. It's not the companies, it's the politicians. You just proved this point when you said how much money the corporations give to the politicians. That shows you how much influence the politicians have. So if the people put the pressure on the politicians, then it would stop because they're the ones who make the policies that allow the corporations to behave in the way that they behave. So it makes no sense to go march on Wall Street or any other street because you're not going to stop an investment banker from making millions of dollars a day just because you're marching downstairs. He came in an underground parking lot. His office is 50 floors above where you marching at. He doesn't give a damn about what you're talking about. He's making money while you're out there marching. But if you let the politicians know that they continue to allow these laws to go in the manner they're going where Americans are constantly losing their jobs, going overseas, that they won't have a government job. The House of politicians are cutting government jobs, and they got a government job. That doesn't make any sense. And they actually got the American people believing that you're a needy, has-been, or a worthless person or a lazy person because you work for the government, and they work for the government. So it doesn't make any sense. And that's what Tom is trying to tell you. We're not using common sense here. For some reason, we have forgotten that they work for us and not the other way around. And until we get that back, we're going to always be in this situation. Because nobody corporations they don't get in business to give out jobs. They get in business to make as much money as they possibly can. And they'll do it illegally if they can get away with it.
All right, Tony.
Always up.
All right, Tony. Hey, man, you got a heavy point. I'm not going to argue
Hey,
with you.
that's
You know,
real
you
tough,
guys
man.
have got.
It's
This
real
is your
tough.
program. This is your forum, and it's your platform. You are the people, and the people have a right to speak. I'm going to go to Cheryl now. Cheryl, are you there?
Here.
Yes,
Well,
ma'am.
what I want to say, the reason we have a shortage of black nurses in the city of Chicago, the state of Illinois, and probably around the country, Bobby Rush, over 20 years ago, he made a conscious effort to go and recruit Filipino nurses from the Philippines, and now they're in charge of home care. They're making money over school gobs of money, and they own the industry. Well, for him to go and get Filipino nurses out of the country and plug the shortage, why didn't he train black nurses? Nurses here, they closed 2 black junior colleges in the black neighborhood that had a nursing program. They closed it. Kennedy King and Olive Harvey and Danny Davis voted for the Green Act, illegal aliens, the Mexicans, and they don't work for us, the black people. They work for everybody but us, and the preachers holler black and brown, but the Mexicans do not care for black people, and they do not holler brown and black. They only out for themselves, and they're going to send a message to the black people. I don't care if you don't work. It's your problem. And they should not be paying, giving them free education when the black people out here don't have any education. The lady was right. We need to fund the programs here in the city of Chicago so we can have more black nurses and train these black boys and young men to be employable, because they don't care. The preachers don't care for us. All they care is the bottom line, and they go around with armed bodyguards because they're making so much money. They don't have us in. They don't care about the congregation.
Okay, Cheryl, hold your point. I'm going to come right back to you because I got to take a short break. This is Leon Finney on Another Perspective. I'm going to take a short break, and I'll be right back with you. We've got veterans that are on the veterans that are returning home from Iraq and from foreign lands, faced with the possibility of no jobs and no homes, and we've got people right here on the ground that have no jobs already, and we've got immigrants that there's a question as to whether or not the gates or the doors that admit immigrants into the United States of America might need to be closed. So we've got some hot stuff going on. This is Leon Finney. We'll be right back after this break. Hi, this is Leon Finney, your host on Another Perspective. We've got a hot topic going on right now. I don't know what happened. I thought that maybe it would be a light day, but it's a very, very heavy day because we touched the third rail, and that is unemployment. Unemployment for the returning veterans that are coming back from foreign lands into the United States of America. And again, the challenge of offering those veterans jobs when we're already short of jobs for those who are looking for jobs now and are not in the military. And there are those who are raising the question as whether or not America can continue to have its doors wide open to immigrants who come here, and some would say are displacing African Americans who are unemployed and seeking jobs. You know, this has always been a nation that prided itself in being open and free for anybody to come. But maybe we've got to reassess reassess our immigration policies and reassess our investment policies and reassess how our politicians work for and or against us. And so, Cheryl, you're there on the line. I'm going to come right back to you. You want to finish up your thought?
Yes, I think that we need to vote all these black politicians out. They're not working for us. They're working for themselves and everybody else. So I don't think they need to be in office, starting with Bobby Rush, all the ones who voted for the Dream Act, the state of Illinois, all the politicians down there, they coalesce with the Mexicans, and the Mexicans get what they want, but the blacks don't get what they need, not what they want. And I just think it's Oh, it's just we gotta stick together because it's gonna be us against the politicians, and a lot of these preachers, ministers, they're politicians too, and they have the politicians that come and stand in front of their pulpit, and then they grease their palms too.
All
So
right.
we need to clean house
Oh,
of everybody,
all right.
and because the veterans are not going to find a job when they come back here. They're going to have to take the Mexican jobs because the black people don't have any.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, Cheryl, I want to thank you so much, and I want to thank Tony as well for your comments and thoughts. And obviously, you know, this is a very, very hot topic right now, Cheryl. And so, anyway, I want to thank you so much, and I'm going to go right now to Susan. Tommy, I see you up there. We're going to come right to you in a few seconds. Susan?
Yes.
Yes.
How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm fine, Susan. How are you?
Fine, thank you. And then again, I'm not that fine because I'm sick of our black politicians and black media people selling poor black people out. And the reason I say that is because the Mexicans I speak Spanish, they have never talked about black and brown. All they talk about is their own people. And I'm not against them for that. They're normal and they're healthy. I, myself, am going to vote against every black that's on my voting sheet when I go to the voting booth. I am sick of it. And let me tell you something, sir. The black folks are the laughing stock of the world, especially the Negroes, due to the fact that they know that we have been sold out. Everyone, Maxine Waters, John Conyers, that one down there in Atlanta, every one of them in that black caucus voted for opening the gates of immigration for the immigrants to come into this country. I don't know where you coming from, but we have never had a relationship, not normal people, where we would give away our jobs. Sure, I might live next to a Mexican, but they're not going to have my job. I never was a fool like that. So I don't know where these Negroes are coming from, but I'm going to tell you one thing. They will not get my vote.
Okay, well, you know what? Somebody would say in years ago, that's enough to turn a Negro black.
Well, I don't know.
All right, Susan. All right, Susan. I got the point. I
Okay,
think
yes,
that what
sir.
you're really
Thank
saying
you so
is
much
that
for giving me
we've
this
got to hold our elected officials accountable. And what you're really saying underneath this, it's a new day, and maybe this new day that has been brought to us, upon us, by virtue of the recession that we're in, and so many of our African American men and women and families are out of work, and we are desperate to find jobs, and now it's time to figure out how to hold somebody accountable. But I'm going to say something else to you. I was just reading the news. I was reading Crain's today, and Crain's today revealed in that business magazine, revealed that the president of Northwestern Hospital earned $7.8 million last year. Now that's a serious not-for-profit charitable operation. My point being is that he is making that kind of money, and yet we find we're in the United States of America, and we have massive unemployment to the west of Northwestern and to the south of Northwestern. Just think about that. Can we any longer afford to let the rich off the hook while the poor and the marginal poor continue to suffer? I'm going to go right now to Ali. Ali?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Listen, when are African Americans going to stop talking about what our politicians are doing? Do they know what their jobs are? It's not the politician. It's what are we doing? What are we doing? The politician can't do no more than they are doing. Black folks don't own anything. We are lazy, Reverend. We don't want to work. All these hollering don't want no job. Because I remember when they was hollering about minimum wage. These blacks said they wasn't going to work for it. These hollering we don't do nothing. No other race of people holler but us about everything. Yes, you're supposed to march. We don't know anything. We need to read more. Go to school. That's why we're so ignorant. Bobby Rush ain't to call the nurses don't know nothing. We don't want to know anything. We don't read. We don't want to go to school. That's where the problem. And lay off the preachers. Tell them to lay off the pastors. The pastors do their job, but they are not doing their job. That's where the problem is. Stop blaming politicians. Politicians doing what they can do. They got a job to sell. And lay off the president. They don't know the president's job. They don't know the politician. They don't want to do no much holler. All these call-in WBO, they don't know nothing. Ignorant.
Now, Ollie, I guess you would say, now run and tell that. All right, here's the deal. We've got Tommy on the line, and we've got a situation here that we've got to take a short break, and we're going to be right back, Tommy. And when we come back, we're going to open this back up. This is a live topic, and we're on WVON Talk. The phone number is 591-1690. That's the 773 Exchange. Please call us. Hi, this is Leon Finney, your host on Another Perspective, bringing you the hot topic of the day. I think it's unemployment and veterans and immigration. That's what I think it is. When we opened up the microphone and the phone lines began to jump off because we were dealing with a topic that people really feel about. They really feel, I think, sensitive to, and that is unemployment. And unemployment, if it means no jobs for blacks, no jobs for blacks and jobs for other folk, and we're looking at jobs going to other people, and they are getting employed and blacks are not, and it's getting rough out here. I've got Tommy on the line. Tommy?
Dr. Finney, first of all, thank you for holding me over. And I just simply want to say to the lady who just got off the line, you know what? The saddest thing I've ever heard in my life is when another black person tells and says that black people are lazy. How in the world can black people be lazy and they built this entire country? No, what has happened, Dr. Finney, is that after the Civil Rights Movement, somehow or another, people felt like it was okay to stop fighting, to stop asking for humanity rights. That's what you're dealing with when you talk about us. And we have given up. And then we've given up so far that you want to turn around and start talking about preachers, saying that the preachers is taking your money and all that. There is no preacher on the face of the earth today that is taking more money than that place known as Washington, D.C. There is no preacher today that has told anybody out there to do more with less. Politicians haven't lost their homes. Politicians' health cares are intact. Politicians' kids are not ducking bullets. Politicians' kids are paying for education. Politicians didn't get subprime loans. I mean, at some point, Dr. Finney, and I'll hang up and get off the line so someone else can get in. We have to be realistic and be for real. Black people are in the situation that they are in simply because where there is no vision, the people fail. And when you have all of the multimillionaires that you have that are black, and no one has tried to recreate a Rosewood, no one has tried to recreate what happened down in Tulsa, Alabama. No group of black people have ever tried to go and get a parcel of land anywhere. Not saying, hey, we hate the whites or the Mexicans or anybody else, but just saying, hey, look, let's put a town here. Let's get educators here. Let's get what we need, and let's keep pushing. And the last thing is, see, somewhere along the line, Dr. Finney, somebody is going to recognize that right now in our country, legal is illegal, and illegal is legal, and that's why you got all this stuff going on. Because anytime you can have a distinction between white crime and poor crime and consider the fact that it's against the law, that's why we're at this point. Leave you with this. If we're going to make a change, it is in the moment of right now that we can turn things around, because it is not so dark and so bleak and all the rest of it that we cannot. But it has to start with the first subconscious and understanding that we have been dialed out. And if you've been dialed out, that's the moment that you can dial yourself back in by understanding the nature of the beast. And the first thing it is, gather up people, let's stop this nonsense in our neighborhoods. If they won't help us do it, then we go out and do it. And then the next thing is the next time you have the chance to vote, go and vote. And if you vote against your interest, then I say it like this: shut up And as far as preachers being poverty pimps, I want to thank Pastor Reverend Donald L. Parsons because he pimped me straight out of poverty. Hallelujah. Bless you, Doc.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Tommy. Well, that's a mouthful, Tommy. And as we bring our program near to a close, I've got a few more minutes. So if you give us a call at 591-1690, 591-1690, we can take maybe one or two calls before we sign off. But here's the deal. We've covered the waterfront already, and we've touched on a lot of many sensitive issues. The question I think that's confronting African Americans today is, what are we going to do for ourselves? At some point, we have to make a decision that it's not they are the people, it's we are the people. African Americans, once again, have to decide that we're going to influence and take control of our own destiny. We have to decide that it is important for that we get employed. We have to decide that it's important that we are educated, that our children are educated. We have to decide that it's important for us to own and operate our own businesses. We have to decide that it's important for us to control, yes, and invest in our own communities. We have to decide that this is our America and this is our Chicago, and it doesn't really belong to anybody else excluding us. We have to therefore organize. And I'm real clear about a number of people calling themselves organizers and community organizers, but I'm talking about we got to get real about organizing. And organizing means you got to be serious about it. It's a day in, day out effort. Just today at my church, we funeralized a gentleman by the name of Eugene Bowser. Eugene Bowser was a retired, who was 96 years old. And guess what? At 96 years old, he could look back over his life and know that he was a part of a powerful union. It was called the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters. 20,000 black men were involved in that union. They built a powerful union, and from that union, they were able to help finance through their union. They didn't go to the white folk asking them for no money. They were able to help finance Dr. King's civil rights movement of 1955, 56, 57, all the way up through 1964. Why? Because they used their own money and their own talent. They were able to organize and make a movement happen. And black folk have got to make a decision that it is our country and it's our time. And if we believe in our own people, if we believe in our own children, we believe in our own old folk, then we have to make the sacrifices to invest and stop running after Black Friday. Whatever happened to White Christmas? My point is that we have become so consumer oriented that we run and give our money to the retailers, and most of there ain't no retailers hardly in the black community anymore. So we're running downtown for Black Friday, buying things that we don't need because the advertisers told us we ought to go buy it. We got to at some point decide we're going to invest in our own kids. What about investing in their education? What about buying bonds for their future education? What about saving money so that we can invest in our community? What about stop buying stuff that we don't need and buy only what we need in order to advance our own people? We've got to wake up, black folk. And we've got to be serious about change. If we are serious about change, I guarantee you we will change. Now, I got Marcus hanging on here, and I'm going to go with him. Marcus, what's up?
Wow, you said a lot. I think that I came in kind of late, and I think we're talking about veterans and employment. I think that I applaud President Obama for signing this bill. But I hope that it's going to be more than just job training. I hope that we're going to actually be able to get these veterans, which I am also a veteran in the Navy, from the Navy, that we'll actually be able to get some employment from it. And that's about all I have to say.
Okay, all right, Marcus. Yeah, Mark, you going to say something else?
Yeah. And as far as black people saving, and we should cut out spending on Black Friday and put some of that. If we
I didn't even
money,
go downtown because I was afraid somebody was going to see me downtown and think that I was supporting that madness.
Yeah, it is pretty mad. It is pretty mad, and I agree with you 100%. That money needs to be put in the bank. That money needs to be buying some educational tools for our children. If you got that kind of money, then you need to be investing in the future, because so many of us don't have that kind of money, and wish we did, and that's about all I have to say.
Okay. Well, again, we're going to shout out for RTW, the Veterans Center at 5536 South King Drive. We're going to reach out to them. They were supposed to be with us today, but they didn't make it. And their mission is to remake the world into a paradise on earth after God's model in the Garden of Eden. The point is that they've got a vision, and they believe that we ought to have a caring and just society. I got to kind of think that we ought to reach out to them and try to help them. We're going to certainly do that from our platform. We're going to reach out to the veterans, and we're going to include them in our planning. We're going to include them in what we're going to do for the future, and we're not going to ignore our veterans. We've got a few seconds right now remaining, so I just want to say this, my brothers and sisters that are listening. Be clear that now is the time to turn to each other and not against each other. No people can survive if they go into a war first fighting each other. We have to reconcile our differences ourselves behind closed doors. Let's not get into the business of attacking one another and letting the real people who are controlling things get away scot-free. We have to make a decision, black folk. We have to organize our own people, organize our own money, and organize our own people. And when we organize our own money and own people, we can also own our own politicians. And until we do that, the politicians will go where the money is and not to us. And that means that our people will continue to be on the outside rather than on the inside. Now, I'm just going to close and say this. Now run and tell that. This is Leon Finney, your host on Another Perspective. See you next week.